few people say goodnight. Sentimental red breeze rise easily with cloud waves. Love hard to compromise. Your goodnight echo sweet.
This is Venice Beach, California. This is where it all got started for the Doors. This is where Jim and I met. This is Beatniks. Charles Bukowski was down here. Beat poetry was going on. West Coast jazz came out of here. Venice Beach, California, man. Everything was happening here. Now, this is what you always see, you know? I mean, this is Venice and the rollerbladers, and there's basketball, and there's 1,000 little things going on. It's a fabulous place, but it wasn't like this when we were down here. It was a whole dark and funky kind of place, you know? And it was mysterious and beatniks, jazz, and reefer, if you know what I mean, you know, that sort of thing. Why don't we take a look and see if we can find some of those kind of darker places? I think you'll find it interesting. So this is where Orson Welles shot Touch of Evil. I don't know if you've seen Touch of Evil, but you got to check it out the way Orson Welles originally envisioned it. And this is where he shot it. This was Mexico. This became Mexico. Uncle Joe Grande's Rancho Grande was down here. So this is Venice, but this is Venice, Italy, you know? This is the way it was supposed to look here, but it ain't the way it ever looked. Let's go see what happened to it. These are the Venice canals. They look pretty good, don't they? They may not be the canals in Venice, Italy, but these look pretty good to me. We spent a lot of time down here, had friends down here.
Estos son los canales de Venecia, Venice Canals, y donde hicieron muchas fotos y venían los Doors cuando se encontraron.
So here we are. This is the very spot. Just down from Fraser. We lived up on Fraser. We'll show you that. I came walking straight down Fraser, sat down here on the beach, middle of July 1965. Jim and I had both graduated from UCLA in late May 1965. I got my master's degree. He got his bachelor's degree. I thought he was going off to New York City. I thought I'd never see him again.
Entonces aquí, en este punto, está Ray Manzarek pensando qué hacer de su vida. Ya terminó la escuela, decide
feel
y está aquí sentado mirando las olas y de repente ve a alguien acercarse por allá.
Y es un chico así golpeando el agua.
love hard to compromise.
Está el pier de Santa Mónica.
Let it go sweet.
Y ahí abajo es donde escribió Bien,
Drawn to you, can't
que le dedicó
deny.
a su exnovia.
Close my eyes, feel the heat.
There I am sitting on the beach, not knowing what I'm going to do with myself. So walking down the beach is none other than James Douglas Morrison. And I said, hey, Jim, come on over here, man. I didn't even recognize him at first because he was just, you know, he was hard and lean. He had lost, I don't know, 25, 30 pounds. You know, not as if he was fat or anything at school, but he was a little soft, you know. He wasn't necessarily a weightlifter. But man, when I saw him on the beach, he had little cutoffs on. He was like 135 pounds, 6 feet tall. God, is that Jim? And sure enough, come on over, man. He sat down. I said, what are you up to? And he said, well, tell you the truth, I've been writing some songs. And I said, whoa. He said, I'm up on Dennis Jacobs' rooftop, looking out over the ocean at Venice Beach and writing songs. And I said, well, for God's sake, man, sing me a song. Sat down right here. And let me show you what he did. This is kind of fun. Dug his hands in, you know, like this. And the sand was just kind of pouring out, you know, sort of like that. And he kind of gritted his teeth and dug into it. And he said, this one's called Moonlight Drive. And he started to sing those words, and it was haunted, you know. It was like, let's swim to the moon. Let's climb through the tide, penetrate the evening that the city sleeps to hide. And I thought, wow, very cool stuff, very cool. Let's swim out tonight, love, it's our turn to try. Parked beside the ocean on a moonlight drive. And I thought, very, very cool. And I heard like, I heard all kinds of Ray Charles and kind of funky organ keyboard stuff behind it. And then he said he had a couple of other songs. I said, what else you got? He said, well, I've got My Eyes Have Seen You. A hard one, you know, my eyes have seen you. My eyes have seen you. And he just sat and he was pounding on his legs. Eyes have seen you, let them photograph your soul. Memorize your alleys on an endless roll. And I'm hearing gong, 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 gong. All kinds of Latino kind of stuff going on behind it. Then he had Summer's Almost Gone, a Bach-like, very soft, gentle kind of, a love song, a song of loss, a lost innocence, lost love. And it was at that point, you know, sitting here with the sand coming out of Morrison's fingers like this, you know, just draining out. And I said, you know what, man, we got to get a band together. That's what we've got to do. We got to get a rock and roll band together. And he said, Ray, that's exactly what I want to do. And I said, well, you know what? Perfect, Jim. And I said, you're going to come home and live with me and live with Dorothy. I mean, we got room right up on Fraser. I said, there's only one problem. What do we call the band? And he said, The Doors. And I said, The Doors? That's like the stupidest name I've ever... Oh, wait a minute, time out, man. You mean like the doors of perception? Like opening the doors in your mind? And he said, yeah, exactly. Opening the doors in your Aldous Huxley's book, The Doors of Perception. And I said, oh, that's incredible. With the lyrics that you've got, and what I'm going to do with the keyboards and the music, all we got to do is get a great guitar player and a great drummer. And we did find those. John Densmore, a great drummer. Robbie Krieger, a genius, brilliant guitar player. We found those guys. It's going to be psychedelic. That's the kind of music we're going to make. It's going to be psychedelic. And I said, well, come on, man. Let's get your stuff from Dennis's, and you just come on, and, you know, Dorothy will be home pretty soon from work, and let's go tell her the good news. So come on, man. Let's go to Fraser and check it out. I'll show you where we live. Come on. Well, you know, it's great. This hasn't changed. I mean, this is exactly. Yeah, so right over on Hart Street, Linda Ronstadt and the Stone Ponies. It was before Linda Ronstadt became famous. And the Beatniks were no longer here. They were gone. We were after the Beatniks, and then we were before the hippies.
Entonces estamos en Fraser Avenue y en la 154 es donde tenían la habitación Ray Manzarek, Dorothy y Jim dormía en el sofá. La número 154 era.
A few people say goodnight. Sentimental reverie.
Sort of existential beatnik filmmaker kind of guys. That's it right here. This is where it all took place. This is where Jim Morrison, Ray Manzarek, Dorothy Fujikawa all lived together here. And Dorothy and I lived here, and this is where I made my student movies too. So before Jim came to join us, you know, it's exactly the same color. Nothing has changed. Let's see if somebody's home. Maybe we can go inside. No, I don't think we're going to be able to get in, but this is it. This is it. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at it right now. What do you say? This is from my student movie, Evergreen. It's about a jazz guy and his girl. There's his girl in bed, that's Dorothy. Here's the jazz guy, Hank Olguin, good buddy. There's Dorothy. I had pictures of, naked pictures of Dorothy up on the wall. Yep. We had a little barbecue set up just like this. You know, we didn't have this kind, we had a little one. And the three of us didn't have enough money to buy a full meat, potatoes, vegetables, and all that. So what we would do is go over to the one of the big chain stores, and we'd buy a Gallo Hardy Burgundy. That was my drink. Gallo Hardy Burgundy went well with the steak. We'd buy a couple of baked potatoes, some broccoli or whatever, or some stuff for a salad. And that would be all the money we'd have, you know, between the three of us. We didn't have any money. And with Dorothy's, you know, money, and, you know, that's all we had. And we said, geez, what are we going to do about the steaks? And Morrison said, hey, don't worry about the steaks, man. I'm going to handle the steaks. So this is like summer. It's like July. You know, he's wearing something like this, something big. He puts on this big pea coat. And we're standing, looking at the steaks, going, God, these are beautiful. Look at all this wonderful meat. And Morrison says, yep. Grabs a steak, slips it in here, grabs another big steak, slips it in here, and very coolly closes his jacket. Well, why don't we leave now? I think we have everything we need, Ray. So the three of us are pushing our cart with a bunch of stuff in it, you know, but none of it very expensive. And Morrison's got a couple of steaks under. And we come back here, light those suckers up, man. I'll tell you, we didn't have any money, but it sure was good. Isn't that nice? But under here, it's all dark and spooky. You can see how Morrison was inspired here. It's cold under here. This is the kind of place where a man could write a song called The End. This is an area I used to like to hang out in. Kind of back, it's up, it's softer. You know, it's all wet down here, but you get back up in here, and it's a lot softer. And he'd sit over there, and that's where he was sitting right in here somewhere when he wrote the end. This is the end, beautiful friend. The end of laughter and soft lies. The end of nights we tried to die. And that's for his girl Mary too. That's for Mary. He wrote the end to her, and then little by little it expanded and became the great song. That was at the London Fog, and we stretched it out. But basically it was just a short little love song. And this is where he wrote it, right down under here. And we took photos under here. We took Morrison Hotel photos were taken under here.
Aquí es donde Ray Manzarek y Jim Morrison hacían ejercicios antes de ir a entrenar para las canciones del grupo de Doors.
Yo quería intentar.
This is the original Muscle Beach. Actually, it used to be set up right over in here. And then it was taken over by gymnasts and whatnot. And Jim and I used to come down here. So what we used to do is work out on these rings, if you can believe it. Jim and I would go from one end to the other and back again and back again. And then they had this great bar like this, except it was like stretched out. It wasn't on this, it was another thing. I swear it must have gone 45 feet in the air. And Jim would go hand over hand, over hand, over hand, all the way up to the top and all the way back down. I mean, we were Iron Man, man. We were buff. Dorothy's working, supporting us, and we're out here doing all this stuff. Check this guy out right here. This is the kind of stuff we used to do.
Sitting by your side, underneath the stars, sharing dreams and secrets, hearts never far. Laughter in the night, tears wiped away. Memories like sunshine never fade away. You're my friend through the storm. In the night, keep me warm. We are shining bright and true.
So we're in shape. Dorothy's working, supporting us. We're working on songs. There's only one problem. What if the Doors don't make it? Here's Morrison's backup plan. Maybe I'll go back to school and get my master's degree. You got one, Ray. Why don't I do the same thing? I said, well, you know, your student movie, undergrad movie was very poetic and very artistic, but they want a story. They're going to want a linear movie or something, you know? You got to do the kind of movies that they want you to make. And about a week later, you know, working out here on the rings and everything, he said, hey, I got an idea for that student movie, man. It's a love story and a murder. It's a girl, and they're all in love with this girl. There's like 3 guys. One guy's like a filmmaker, you know? One guy is like a weirdo kind of art major or something, and one guy is a teacher. They're all in love with this girl, and one of them kills somebody. But we don't know who. At the beginning of the movie, we take it all. He said, that's the story. No hippies here. My brother Jim on keys. Oh, that's me. UCLA Film School. Oh, look, who's that guy? See that guy moving there in the white shirt? You know who that is. That's Jim Morrison. Check this out. Here's Ray Manzarek and Jim Morrison before they had ever even talked about the Doors. Filmmakers at UCLA.